Worked really well for Larson. It worked well for Bubba too, which is the next two restarts. Bubba chooses the outside, just like Larson didn't. Larson chose the inside, and obviously it didn't work out so well for him. So Bubba chooses the outside on the next restart, and it works for him. Then there's another crash. Bubba's still in the lead. He chooses the outside again for the final restart, which is on lap 262. So Bubba's on the outside. Chase Briscoe is on the inside. And after maintaining the lead on that previous restart from the outside, Briscoe kind of forced the issue this time on Bubba from the inside. He got ahead of him. And then Bubba kind of laments what happened next. I'll read you the quote. Bubba says, "I just should have kept my line in the 3 and forced William Byron, who was on the inside, to get tight. I'm just upset with myself. I know what I did, and I choked." So Byron takes the lead here with this battle between Wallace and Briscoe, DJ. And it seems like Bubba is saying that he wished he would have stayed up top as he was entering turn 3, rather than what he did was, after getting around Briscoe, Bubba kind of came down the track and tried to side draft Byron. And he sounds like Bubba's saying the better option would have been just hold my line at the top, entering 3. Instead, he comes down the track. They get side by side, and that seemed to blunt Bubba's momentum. And then Byron pulls away for good and leads the rest of the race. How did you see that restart where Bubba lost the lead to Byron?
Yeah, it's Bubba got. I have to say that Briscoe put Bubba in a difficult spot because, I mean, he used up the racetrack, and at one point I thought he was going to get into the side of them and almost did there. And that, that's what allowed Byron to get the big run down the back straightaway to make it 3 wide at that particular time. Yes, Bubba could have easily held the outside and possibly held on there. He would have been able to probably control things a little bit better than that. But your instinct, because I don't think that he could really see and have any idea without some spotter's help exactly where Byron was. And Bubba started his move down to the bottom, and it looked like to me that Byron was going to be a little hesitant. He didn't want to drive in there and just clip the left rear of Bubba and send him spinning. And so I think they both hesitated just for a split second there. But as Bubba hesitated, Byron saw that hesitation. And I don't think Bubba choked in this. That's a tough spot to get yourself in. Bubba didn't do anything wrong to get in that spot. And what he did wasn't, it turned out to be the wrong thing, but it wasn't the wrong thinking that he was doing. I think if he would have gone on and committed completely to taking his car to the very bottom of the racetrack, that probably Byron's going to back out and not create a contact there, because they could have ended both of their days. And I know that Byron didn't want to do that either, but he saw the slight hesitation of Bubba not to completely force the issue and take his car right to the bottom and block any move that Byron was making there. So he just opened the door. Again, that's not, I don't blame him for that. He could have put himself in a position that, it's Byron, and most of the time William's not going to do something like that. He's a very fair driver. But, you're also talking the playoffs here, and drivers do a little more to try to make that happen. So, I heard Bubba talking about him choking. That's not choking. That's making a move. He'll know the next time. That's learning. He's still having to learn how to race in a different set of circumstances than what he normally is. Most of the time through his career, where he's been racing in those spots has been probably from 5th to 10th, and they don't mean nearly as much as what they do when you're racing there for the lead. And talk about getting yourself into the round of 8. And again, we can sit, and I was watching it on TV and know what I thought I would have done. But that's just how you learn in this sport. There's no better way. And the next time it happens, Bubba gets through this and he goes on to Las Vegas at a 1.5 mile track, he's going to know that he's going to do something a little different if that situation occurs again.
Yeah, I think we forget that it's his 6th full-time season in the Cup Series. But to your point, which is an excellent one, he hasn't been in this situation where the spotlight is on him this much until the last few years. His first few years, a lot of this type of racing where he's learning, he's getting that experience, was not for the lead in a playoff race
Yeah.
opener, round of 12 opener. And I think you're right. I think that's where the, I choked kind of comes from, that harsh self-evaluation. So Bubba started from the pole in this race, DJ. He finishes third. Doesn't get great stage points, gets stage points in both the first two, but not as many as you'd expect for leading 111 laps, a race high. But again, does finish third, but he comes out of this 2 points below the cut line. And even though in his interview right after the race, he said he hadn't even looked at the points yet, I'm sure that was on his mind, knowing that he's coming in the playoffs without playoff points, knowing that it's kind of win or else to make the round of 8. Even a third place finish probably doesn't mollify the fact that, like, hey, Talladega and Roval are next. And he probably, he's a past winner at Talladega, but he probably doesn't feel great about his chances the next 2 weeks of advancing.
Yeah, that's the hard part of this and the playoffs, and the hard part of not having the regular season that you want going in. And he's not the only one in this situation. We've already eliminated 4, and mainly because they didn't have a good regular season and have points to fall back on. A couple of them, Harvick even did have a few points there, and he wasn't able to advance either. So, that's the hard thing when you're in that situation. And when we reset after for each round, people that you outperformed all of a sudden are way ahead of you once again, and you have to be almost perfect in the situation when you were the 16th seed coming in, and you have 0 points basically to fall back on, even though you had a good round and he did everything you needed to do in the round of 16. He's back in that same situation. So it is a battle each and every weekend, unless you're fortunate enough to go grab that win. And Bubba was so close there. It's I hope that today he's sitting looking at, I've done a good job in these 4 races of doing what I can do, putting us in the situation to advance. And, I think that he, embraces as much as you can embrace Talladega. I know that he likes that style of racing. You might not like it quite as much when you realize everything that's on the line. Your season is basically there. But if he does his normal good job, he's really good at avoiding most things and getting finishes and putting himself in a position to possibly win at a track like Talladega. So I just hope that he not as hard on himself and says, hey, we had our chance there. We did everything we could. It just, they could they have gotten more stage points? Yeah, it's easy to look back and say that. But, I think they were setting themselves up more to know that they had a fast car to put themselves in a position to be there at the end to try to win. They did exactly that.
Hi, I'm Parker Kligerman. For more access like this from Pit Road, be sure to click and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel.